Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to do the unboxing of A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World. This is the collector's edition for the PS4 that was released in the West in very limited quantities, but I got the Japanese release because I couldn't find the one that was released in the West at a decent price, because now they're being sold on eBay for like 150 bucks, which is too much of a premium for me to pay. So I got this one for roughly half of that, for about a 75-ish on eBay. Of course, this is a Japanese edition, but for me, the main thing I wanted to get this collector's edition for was actually the soundtrack and the art book. And for me, having it in Japanese doesn't really matter for that. So that's why I got it. So yeah, look at this. Of course, this is a Japanese edition. This is one of my favorite visual novels. When I played it on the Switch, I couldn't put it down. It's like Steins Gate. It's very similar in terms of the concept of time travel and everything, but this one came out way before. Originally in the 90s for the NEC PC98, very classic computer, and this was one of the original like science fiction visual novels back then. Of course, the original version was, it was a kind of a Bishoujo game, right? So it was not very appropriate, I would say, for Western audiences, but this one got censored. They took all that sexual stuff out. Of course, they kept some of the dialogue in, but they took the racy scenes out, and they pretty much just packaged it up after that. So it's not too censored, right? It's just basically the sex scenes are removed, and the rest of the dialogue is still kept in, which is pretty nice, actually, for those of us who enjoy that kind of stuff. But yeah, I loved playing through this visual novel. One of my favorites. I think when I did my review of this one, I think Steins Gate, Love, Alternative, and Cyberpunk, Valhalla, Bartender Action, and are all my 10 out of 10s for visual novels. And yeah, definitely this one is for PS4. Of course, this game I actually played on the Switch, but I think the Switch version was way too expensive for me to pick up, the collector's edition, right? So originally, I think you could have bought this for maybe like 70-80 bucks. But now it's like all sold out, so it's very hard to pick up again. Alright, so I'm going to do the unboxing here. So interesting thing is, actually, you see how this is right? But once you take off the sleeve, it's like her armor just kind of falls off like that. I kind of like that, right? The sleeve is like the armor, and then you just slip the armor off like that. Okay, and now she's undressed. So now you take off the second sleeve, and you have a completely different game box, which is also but she's sleeping in a bed. Again, I can't read Japanese, but that might be fine because I'm mostly in it for the soundtrack and the art book. So, okay, here we go. So this is the original cover for the remake that came out 2 years ago, 2019. So yeah, this is pretty nice. So this is actual art book of the game. Of course, this is a remake game. I do have the art book for the original as well. So this is the art book for the original game. So this is the one that came out in the 90s, and I also have the Japanese version of this one because it was never released in the West at this time, right? So the original was never released in the West, but this is the original art book I got for roughly 35 bucks on eBay. Of course, since this is the original, it never came to the West, so it was never censored, so very racy scenes in this one. So keep that in mind. The original art book, obviously based on the original game, which was uncensored. But I do like the original art style too, because it's very, very 90s, and I love my Japanese anime, especially from the 90s. Just they have such a distinctive art style, and I feel like anime these days they're just too cute, right? They're too clean, too cute. I like to have my anime look a little bit more gritty and raw, I guess. And just the anime from the 90s are just what gets my attention, right? If you look at Evangelion, Escaflowne, Cowboy Bebop, Gundam Wing, right? Even the original Sailor Moon, right? All these animes are very raw looking, and that's what I like about it. Right, the 90s anime style, Escaflowne, Inuyasha, yeah, all these animes are some of my favorites all time. But I just love this art style, right? The remake is good too, but just in some ways I do prefer the 90s art style. It just makes me nostalgic, right? It's just like this art style is just so nostalgic for me. But yeah, the remake here, in comparison, this is a lot more cleaner looking, as you can see, right? Clean, cuter looking styles. That's just the modern way. I would like to have the only thing I didn't, maybe I could have added in the remake here is an option to switch the art styles. Would have been nice, but they didn't have that option. They did have an option to use the original music though, so I do have to give it props for that, because I did like the original music soundtrack as well as the new remake soundtrack. And of course, it's all in Japanese, and I don't really need to read this too much because I already beat the game, but this is the walkthrough, and obviously it would be nice to have it in English if you didn't beat the game. It's basically just a walkthrough of what to do, right? So this is actually very similar to the original art book, which did have those kind of instructions as well, right? It's instructions on what paths to take and stuff like that. So what I like about is there's so many different paths to take, and in order to get the 100% completion rate, you actually have to replay through it like numerous times. So this game actually has a lot of replayability. Not a lot of visual novels actually have this much replayability, but this one does. So this is a classic example of that girl I showed you. This is Kana, and if we look at Kana from the 90s anime, okay, she looks like this. So this is Kana from the 90s anime. You can tell just how different that is, right? A little bit more raw and everything. The art style is classic. And then if you look at the remake, right? Yeah, the remake's still nice too, but it's obviously a lot more cleaner. They're just different strokes for different folks. Some people may prefer the modern style. I do kind of prefer the old style a little bit better. And of course, it's just like more walkthrough stuff. None of the too racy stuff. I mean, yeah, you do still get like upskirt shots and stuff like that, obviously in this one, but none of the sex stuff. Okay, so this Salis and Amanda, which you'll meet later on the epilogue. Actually, you don't even meet them in the main game, which is part of why this game is so enjoyable to me. Is like the second half of the game is like you basically have to go through all this just to get to the second half of the game, which is like another part entirely, which is like very different. Which is what I like. And this art styles here, pretty nice. The tertiary characters that you can meet in the game. Yep, and this is like part of the epilogue. Yep. Alright, very cool. And this is like the character relationships, I guess. And then advertisement for Sony, which is my favorite tech brand. It is though, I love Sony. But it's cool that they have an advertisement in there. Okay, so anyways, that's the art book. I have the 90s one as well. I think by comparison, the 90s one is, a little bit more substantial. But this art book is pretty good too. It's not exactly a small one. So, yeah, not as big as the old one. But considering this came with a collector's edition, I think it's acceptable. Yep. Okay, so now you get the game itself. This is a PS4 game in Japanese, of course. So the game itself, and then this is what actually I was here for as well, as the soundtrack. Alright, so you get the soundtrack of the game right here, which is what I was after basically, because this is a pretty substantial soundtrack. This soundtrack is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 discs. So this is a 5-disc soundtrack that comes with this collector's edition. That's not a small amount, right? So that's why I was after this soundtrack, because not only because I love the music in the game, but because basically you get all of it here, right? This is like the full thing. So, yep, this is NEC PC 9800, which was originally out for. Then you get the MP3 version, super soundtrack. I wonder if you get an SACD out of this, but not sure. Anyways, this is a very substantial soundtrack, right? And you can see the CD case is a double CD case. So that's probably the reason I really wanted this collector's edition. I was willing to pay a premium for it because I really love the music in this game. And
this soundtrack is a pretty substantial soundtrack that you get in the collector's edition, and plus you get a nice art book as well, which is not quite as substantial as the original one, but the original one I bought standalone, so considering this one came with a collector's edition, it's actually pretty decent. There's actually a decent amount of material in this one. You know, you got the walkthrough and get some nice info about the characters as well. So anyways, yeah guys, that's it. This is the unboxing of You Know, A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World. The collector's edition, which is very, very hard to find actually. Because the original one that was released in the West got sold out pretty quickly, and now they're being scalped. So I could pretty much just get the one in Japan. But still, I think it's a very, very nice pickup for me. Just for the art book. The art book for the remake, as well as the soundtrack, right? As well as this really nice, substantial box for it. So, anyways guys, that's it. That's You Know, Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World. Collector's edition for the PS4 Japanese version unboxing. And that's it. As always, thanks for watching.